engine made out of birds.
We need a new game, something like birds, but cooler, sexier.
I'm flying! I'm totally flying! Oh what, this harness, this rig, don't worry about that, I always wear that. I'm flying because today we're talking about two board games about animals that can fly, birds and dragons. Now I know what you might be thinking, ostriches can't fly, penguins can't fly, Komodo dragons can't fly. They can if they're in a helicopter, stupid. Today we're talking about Wingspan and Wyrmspan. Okay, I'm ready to get down now. Somebody? Anybody? Ready to get down? Help?
Part 1. Wingspan. Flappy flap flap. Wingspan is a game about birds. The base game features 170 unique bird cards plus an extra 10 in newer editions. If we include currently available expansions, we get an extra 81 birds from the European expansion, 95 from the Oceania expansion, 90 from the Asia expansion, and 255 re-illustrated birds from the art pack. If this trend continues by the year 2050, there will be an estimated 2.6 billion birds available for the game Wingspan. Don't check my maths. I didn't really do the maths. I did start to do it, I tried to figure it out, but I got bored and I gave up because I'm not a nerd. I'm a guy that makes videos about board games. Wingspan is a beautiful production. Alongside all the bird cards, each player gets one of these lovely mats. The game features these charming little eggs.
Because birds lay eggs.
There are some nice food tokens and corresponding dice, which get rolled down this birdhouse-looking tower.
Because birds! It's a game about birds!
Hummingbirds are the only birds that can fly backwards. They can beat their wings up to 80 times a second, and indeed the reason they're called hummingbirds is because they can't remember the lyrics.
So we've established it's a game about birds. Are we playing as birds? No. According to the box, you are bird enthusiasts, researchers, bird watchers, ornithologists, and collectors. The winner is the player with the most points accumulated from birds, bonus cards, end of round goals, eggs, cached food, and tucked birds. Tucked. In this game, birds can get tucked. They can go tuck themselves.
Like other birds, geese fly in a V formation, and you might notice that one side of the V is often longer than the other. There's an interesting reason for this. It's because there are more birds on that side.
In Wingspan, you'll be creating your bird engine by placing birds on your player mat and activating different habitats. This will trigger a chain of abilities for every bird residing in that habitat.
So who came up with this? Board games are supposed to be about nerdy man stuff, like spaceships and castles and terraforming Birmingham. What kind of universally appealing, pleasant nonsense is this? Well, to answer that question, we're going to have to go back to where it all began.
Oh no, I'm Elizabeth Hargrave, the creator of Wingspan, and my car has broken down. Oh wait, she's American, isn't she? I'm Elizabeth Hargrave and my car is broken down. Close enough, shut up. You silly bird, what are you doing in there? You're not part of the engine. Engines aren't made out of birds. Unless, what if you could have an engine made out of birds? An engine made out of birds! Keep forgetting she's American. Yeehaw! An engine made out of birds!
From that moment on, Elizabeth Hargrave knew that a bird-based engine was her destiny. The car manufacturers laughed her out of the room. The aeroplane manufacturers gave it a little consideration, but politely declined. But the board game manufacturers, you might be onto something, they said, before rolling a die to determine whether they would go into production or not. Each bird card contains all sorts of information. We've got the habitat or habitats the bird can inhabit. There are 3 habitats, the forest, the grassland and the wetland. Here we've got the type of food the bird eats. There are 5 types of food: invertebrates, seeds, fish, fruit and rodents. Feed the bird its required food type and it'll make itself at home on your player mat. For example, this Cooper's hawk lives in the forest and just eats rodents.
Now I know you like rodents. Can I interest you in a capybara? You don't like capybara? You want a different type of rodent? Fine. Have a porcupine.
This symbol means the birds are not fussy and will eat any of the food types.
According to the game, swans like 2 seeds and then 1 other thing. Hello, Mr. Swan. I've got you 1 seed, 2 seed, and then I chose a fruit as the other type. There's a fruit for you. Tuck in. Tuck in, Mr. Swan. Do you want it? No, not me. Don't eat me. Eat the fruit and the seed. Just here on the player mat. I think the problem might be, I think this is a North American swan, whereas this is a British swan, which is why it's so grumpy. So maybe instead of the seeds and the fruit, I should have used, I don't know, like a cup of tea or some fish and chips or something. Yeah, would you have preferred that? I think he would have preferred that.
This number here is the amount of victory points the bird is worth at the end of the game. Quite what the criteria for this scoring is unknown.
Did you hear? The humans made a game about birds. Yeah. So, how many points are you? 3 points. 3 points! Oh wow, that's super. Good for you. You want to know how many points I am? Not particularly. 9 points. Yep, 9 points. Most of any bird in the game, actually. Turns out I'm a pretty special bird. Lost for words, I see. Speechless. Yeah, you must be feeling pretty lucky talking to me right now. Well, I guess I'll be seeing you later.
Hey, did you hear? The humans made a game about birds.
Here it shows you the distance of the bird's wings from end to end. I feel like there's a word for that. Wing size, wing area, wing length. No, I'm just joking. The wing scale. This here is the type of nest the bird uses. There's regular stick nests, bowl nests, putting the eggs inside an Xbox 360, or just piling the eggs on the floor. I'm sure they'll be fine. Down here it shows you the bird's ability. Most abilities trigger each time the habitat is activated. Some trigger on other people's turns, and there are effects that trigger immediately. There are all sorts of different abilities. A bird might cause you to gain food, to draw cards, or to lay an egg.
Okay, I'm going to play this bird and... What just happened? Oh, sorry, I left an egg on that chair earlier. Anyway, you can play an egg.
Eggs are required for hatching birds. Your first column is free. You'll then need 1 egg per bird. Makes sense. And then 2 eggs per bird. Makes less sense. Players can also score from bonus objective cards. There are all sorts of different objectives. Birds that eat a certain type of food, birds with a certain amount of eggs, birds with a colour in their name, birds with a body part in their name.
You're telling me that tit and cock aren't body parts? Well, what are they then? Can I have dick? Pecker? Nut? I've got 2 of them. Bush?
Elizabeth Hargrave's bird engine game has been a phenomenal success, soaring as high as any bird and digging its talons deep into the heart of the board game community. However, the story is not over.
Part 2. Wyrmspan. Swooshy raw gur.
Sales of Wingspan are starting to fall. People are losing interest in birds, damn it! Come on, people, we need ideas. We need a new game. Something like birds, but cooler, sexier, more dangerous. How about Wingspan, but it's airplanes instead of birds? Airplanes? What are we going to do for the habitats? The sky, and the frickin' sky? Well, there's airports. How about Thingspan? It's like Wingspan, but with everyday household objects. Things. Things? Nobody likes things! I said to my wife this morning, how are things? Things are bad, she said! How about Wingspan Span? It's a game about different board games and how much space they take up on your table. You think that people who are into board games are so into board games that they would play that?
Yeah, kinda. I think they would. How about Wyrmspan?
What did you say?
Wyrmspan.
That is genius! Everybody loves worms! Ringworms, earworms, earthworm Jim!
Oh, I meant worm with a Y, like dragons.
Dragons?
Suppose that could work too.
And so Wyrmspan, a Wingspan game, was born. Wingspan, but dragons. Except it's not just Wingspan, but dragons. There have been some significant changes.
Before we go any further, if anyone from Stonemaier Games is actually watching this, can I just pitch my idea Finspan at you? So it's like Wingspan but with sea life, and instead of 3 habitats you have different depths of ocean, and then some creatures would take up more space than others, so like a blue whale might take up 3 slots, whereas a little crab would just take up 1. I think it would be great if you could go ahead and just do, all of the work and then send me some royalties. That'd be great, thanks. You're welcome. Or you could just send me a copy of Scythe and I'll make a video about it. Thanks.
The 180 birds have been replaced with 183 dragons.
No longer is there a wing measurement, the wing scale, but the dragons now come in hatchling, small, medium and large. Dragons come in 4 flavours: helpful, playful, shy and aggressive.
Wyrmspan is set in a world of dragons, but it's not a fantasy world. It's our world in our current year. This becomes apparent when you read through the Dragon Facts booklet they provided. It's just a sort of what-if situation. What if there were dragons flying around?
Dragons live in caves, and there's an interesting reason for this. It's because house prices are ridiculous at the moment.
Whereas in Wingspan you play as an ornithologist, here you play as an amateur dracologist. Amateur? Amateur? I'll have you know last time I scored almost 100 points. Gone are the lush green habitats of Wingspan. We are now enticing dragons into caves. There's a whole deck of cave cards, and beyond the first column, each spot on your mat will need to be excavated before a dragon can inhabit it. The blurb on the front of the rules describes excavating a hidden labyrinth, which does strike me as somewhat of an exaggeration. These caves seem to be 3 straight lines, not particularly labyrinthian. It does also seem rather impractical. Let's say I've got 3 dragons in my Crimson Cavern, and I want to add a 4th. He's going to have to awkwardly clamber past all the existing dragons.
Sorry, excuse me, pardon me. If I could just squeeze through, thanks.
And if he wants to go outside again for any reason, the same in reverse.
Sorry, excuse me, thanks. Yep, turns out the cave wasn't even excavated.
Cave cards give you a variety of bonuses, and excavating new spaces past the second column requires eggs.
Well, this thing's getting me nowhere. Oh, that's right, I've got an egg with me. The best tool of all. Excavation.
Much like birds, dragons lay eggs. Of course they do, they're reptilian. Except, are they though? This hawkish firevern is described in the book as having a common ancestor with the modern day falcon. So, avian? Not too much of a stretch, except the hatchlings. They drink milk, which is a decisively mammalian trait. So what on earth are these things? Who knows? We're only amateur dracologists after all. To find out, we'll need to speak to a professional dracologist.
Professor, welcome. Now we know dragons aren't reptiles and they aren't birds. Could you tell us what dragons actually are?
They're draconian, obviously.
Okay, I guess that makes sense. Is there anything else you can tell us about dragons?
Dragons are very formidable, resistant to fire, water, even electricity. The only thing a dragon need fear is another dragon. Oh, that and fairies.
If you understood that reference, well done, very good. But maybe grow up? You're a bit old for that, aren't you?
Alongside milk, the new resources include meat, gold, and crystal. For example, enticing this dragon into your cave requires meat and gold.
Now I know you like meat. Can I interest you in some capybara? Oh, I see you've already helped yourself to the capybara. Good.
Gold!
Yeah, I brought some gold for you. Enjoy.
On the pile.
I could have bought a house with that gold. But no, the dragon seems happy. This is good. I don't have any regrets. I've made good life choices.
Rather than activate different habitats, players now have an explore option. They send an adventurer into one of the caves, they'll travel along collecting various bonuses until they hit a stop sign, at which point, regardless of whether a cave has been excavated or not, they must turn back.
Oh wow, I found a huge pile of gold! Oh, there's a stop sign. Back to base camp then.
Ignoring the stop signs really is all that separates the amateurs from the professionals.
Wyrmspan also features a dragon guild. As players acquire guild points, their marker moves around this track, gaining bonuses along the way. At the 12 and 6 o'clock positions, players gain powerful bonuses that can only be claimed a limited number of times. Another key difference between Wing and Wyrm is these lovely coins. Whereas in Wingspan, you always have a set amount of turns, in Wyrmspan, you spend coins to take actions, and certain actions may reward you with extra coins or cost you more coins. This means players can get out of sync with each other and don't always get the same amount of turns.
Let me get this straight. You pay coins to do dragon stuff. People should be paying you to do dragon stuff. Amateurs.
Yes. Professor, do you mind if I just...
What are you doing? See here!
I knew it! This monocle comes right off! You're not a professional dracologist at all! You're just a guy who cheats at board games!
I'm afraid it's true.
You ruin it for everybody if you cheat. It's not fun.
This is a board game. It's not supposed to be fun.
Part 3, the bit at the end. Are you really still watching this nonsense?
Having looked at both games, an obvious question emerges. Which is the better game? Which game would win in a fight? Which game would be the more considerate lover? This one would win in a fight. This one would be the more considerate lover. Let's compare the two. Wingspan has birds and Wyrmspan has dragons. So far they both make a good case. Wyrmspan has caves and Wingspan doesn't have caves. I don't have any strong feelings about caves. Wingspan comes in a slightly bigger box, but Wyrmspan does take up more table space, so... Both games are awesome board games. You're going to have a good time with this one, you're going to have a good time with this one. Wyrmspan is a tad more complex, a little bit more thinky, and some players may find that more engaging, but for me, Wingspan does flow just that little bit better. The theme of birds resonates with me more as well. For whatever reason, when I play Wingspan, I see the birds on the cards, I take them in. Whereas when I play Wyrmspan, I don't really see the artwork. As nice as it is, I just see the game mechanics on the card. So for me, Wingspan just about edges it. I don't know why I did that.
This bird tells me the humans have made games of us, that they have pitted us against one another.
I was just letting him know how many points I am. 9, yeah.
Oh my god, it's you! I'm so excited to meet you!
Yeah, it's me, alright.
You're the bird from the box!
Yeah, that's me on the box. How's it going? Oh, I see.
We are mere playthings to them. They arbitrarily assign us points. They use our eggs for excavating caves.
They made me worth 0 points!
The humans must pay for their crimes.
Whoa, everybody stop. There's a stop sign. We've got to go back to base camp.
Stupid stop sign.